Morning, wherever you are catching us from. This is Punchline Africa TV. We are coming to you live from Nairobi, Kenya, and the show is Good Morning Africa, a show where we're going to be looking at the political happenings of the week, as well as the newspapers, reviews, and other developing matters here in Kenya, Africa, and globally. And to take us through, I'll start by looking at the daily local newspapers here in Kenya, and that in regards to do with the politics of the day. I'll start with the Star newspaper, whose headline reads, DP Ruto's campaign strategy. And on that, the DP plans to conduct regional forums to discuss the blueprint. On that note, I'll go to the Daily Nation, where it says Uhuru's brigade endorses Raila, and that has to do with the Mount Kenya Forum, Foundation Forum yesterday, which happened at Safari Park Hotel along Thika Road. And the standard Mount Kenya teams yes to Raila, and a list of demands, of course, what they have for him. And on the People's Daily today, the headline is why Mount Kenya leaders chose Raila Odinga. So I'll start with the headline of the Star newspaper, and that is DP Ruto's campaign strategy. And the Deputy President, William Ruto, plans to conduct what happens to look like something similar like what Raila Odinga has been doing as Mio la Umoja, moving to specific interest groups and holding regional forums to discuss about the developmental blueprint. Dr. Masanga, do you think this is perhaps a change of heart, or maybe is it because the IEBC has issued an ultimatum where political players are not supposed to engage in fundraising and dishing out money, deadline starting today?
Thank you very much, viewers across the continent of Africa. Those watching us and listening to us, thank you very much. This is Punchline Africa TV, together from the Political Command Center away from Nairobi in Kenya. I'm Dr. Masanga, and across is Sharon Gitonga. Good morning, Sharon.
Thank you very much, Dr. Matanga, and a very good morning to you from the Political Command Center, and my colleague panelist, Daniel Wesonga, and to all our viewers who are watching us from Africa and in the entire globe, whether it's their morning, afternoon, or evening. It is a pleasure to be part of this show. And probably before I hand over the, the mantle back to you, today actually marks the International Day of the Fight Against Corruption, and there's an assembly that was actually put together, that is the UN, since 2003. And I was just trying to look at, it's been 18 years, and probably maybe you would be in a better position to tell me if maybe we have put much effort, policies or systems when it comes to the fight against corruption. Can we comfortably say that as Africa, we score a clean bill of health when it comes to the fight against corruption, or we have continued, or corruption has continued to undermine democratic institutions, slow down economic developments, and of course continued to contribute greatly to the government instability? Thank you.
Thank you very much. First of all, let me answer Wesonga's question. Why Ruto is changing his strategy? Because Ruto and Chebukati work together. That's very simple. And I've told the people of Kenya, whether you like me or you don't like me, it's your problem. Cry not for me, but cry for your children. Jesus told the people, the women of Jerusalem. Those who will come after me, if they don't listen, it is up to them. Chebukati and Ruto are one and part and parcel of each other. The strategy that is going on right now in Kenyan election preparations is very dangerous. And for me, I will not hesitate to sit around here, tell people that we are okay, and that glorify people. The president should wake up and MPs should wake up, take a strike at the IEBC before it plunges us to chaos, before it plunges the region of East Africa to chaos. A bad election is equivalent to a very dangerous war. You are setting a pace for a dangerous war. Of course, Chebukati and Ruto have discussions. And it is only a fool who doesn't see that. But Chebukati and Ruto are in cahoots. Chebukati told me himself in Soroba Sands Hotel, in a corner we stood there, he told me that the government wanted me to declare some winner in Kiamba. He mentioned to me the names of the people who called him. And from that day, I don't trust. I don't want to hear the name. But it is up to you, Kenyans. Your constitution is your country. For me, my preaching at this hour now, I don't know whether you are hearing me properly, all of you. Are you hearing me properly or there is an echo?
We are able to hear you properly.
Stephen, is it okay from the headquarters? Steve, the technical team, is anything okay? Give me signal. So I am talking. Okay, thank you very much. It is okay, we can talk. People are hearing. And anybody there who is not hearing what I'm talking can actually press the finger. Look, a good election anywhere in Africa is a good one that gives us the way forward. A bad election, ladies and gentlemen, will bring us chaos inside the borders of Kenya. Up to now, the parliament still has time to clean this mess. Chebukati, to date, he has not opened the servers. He was recommended by the Supreme Court to open the servers in 2017. You are taking a gamble with a man who flawed elections in 2017. You are taking a gamble with a man who goes to Greece, procures sources, a printing company of his liking, meeting the owner, who was introduced to you by some people who are very close, who brought Harun Ayadin, who introduced the Greek printer into this nation called Kenya. And here you are, Kenyans, telling me on this platform that there is an election. I bet this is not an election. You are joking. In all printing presses in the world, you choose to go to Greece, a country whose money, economy, and corruption is so rampant that institutions can be bought to print exact amount of the print that you have, that ballot papers will be stuffed, as you call it, elections, from areas where the police might not be there. That you annoy the police and you say you don't want to cooperate with them. Who will escort your ballots? That you don't want to work with the Chief Justice, the judiciary, to know how much you need their support. Then you call it an election. This is not an election. It is a jumbo issue. Chebukati is leading this country to chaos. Of course, when you come to the campaign ends today, donations, Ruto has received several, already enough money. 2 days ago, one of his close confidants sent me a WhatsApp saying, now our money has arrived. Let's see how we shall shame you and Uhuru Kenyatta. I don't want to name his name, but I know him now. I said, it's okay. So all the money that they want is already in here. But I want to ask one question. Who is going to police this money to see that there is no donation? That the money that Ruto in churches where is going to continue to go. Now he has resorted to meetings. These meetings, who is organizing the meetings? Who is paying for these meetings? Because that must, if Chebukati puts the law, okay, Wesonga and other people listening to us, if this law is going to work, who is going to monitor those town hall meetings to make sure that the money was not contributed, that is actually buying people to come to those county hall meetings? Who? Chebukati doesn't want the police to come near him. So who is going to help? Back to you, Sharon.
Yes, and
Thank you.
yes, and of course, before Sharon comes in, Sharon, yesterday we had the ODM legislator for Suna East had a similar debate with one of the local TV stations and about Chebukati. What do you think will be the remedy? Because most players right now, even Dr. Matsanga, thinks that Chebukati is not the right man to hold this election. What fate awaits the 2022 general election in that regard?
Thank you very much, Daniel, for that question. And I agree with what, Dr. Matsanga has said, when he talked about, having election with the same man sitting at the helm of the leadership of IEBC, the same person that bungled 2017 elections. And we had to actually get into a rerun, something that, had not been experienced in any of these African countries. And a man also who had an audacity to walk out of a multi-sectoral agency that has been put in place to oversee and ensure transparency, accountability, and also ensure free, fair, and credible elections come 2022. And like we've always said here before, is that an election is not a one-day event. It is a process, a process to build up legitimacy and even trust that has been eroded over time, even with IEBC. So having him walked out at that time that every stakeholder was present, because we say for us to ensure that we get a free, fair, and credible election, all the stakeholders have to work in cohesion and have to work hand in hand. So that already is a red flag to see clearly to raise eyebrows to each and every person, even as we near the 2022 elections. And then another thing, the IEBC, I found it quite ridiculous for them to even call out for Harambes, as of today. And I was also, my concern was also how are they also going to monitor, even at the grassroots, how these, that these politicians will not, show up. Well, we might, play a devil's advocate and say probably they will not show up, but they might decide to send a representative. So who is actually going, whose action, who is actually going to be action, who is going to whose person is actually going to be held accountable in a case where they decide to send a representative anonymously, because this is a culture that we have already instilled. And I feel like IEBC actually deliberately failed to conduct the education and sensitization to the public as to the reason as to why any politician who will be seen fundraising 8 months to the election should not be allowed, is going to be breaching the law. But the public does not understand that, and you will see even the ground is going to be very hostile, especially when it comes to such a directive that has been given to IEBC, because I believe if probably the public had actually been sensitized and educated, prior as to the reason as to why there's a law that stipulates clearly that there's no politician that is allowed to actually hold fundraisers 8 months to the election. This actually would have been a different case, but because they deliberately failed to do what accords them. And that also begs even the question as to why we had a voter apathy, because the main reason is they were not able to, conduct, mass, education and sensitization to the public. And even right now, calling up for another, another voter registration come January, I can guarantee you that this is actually not going to see the, not going to see the day, because you've done things the same way, but you're actually expecting, you are expecting different results. That cannot happen. So I think IEBC needs to get to a point where they can actually bite and not behaving like a toothless, bulldog that cannot be able to bite by giving, by just giving, directives, or even appeals, not directives. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. And maybe just to get from Dr. Matsanga David, what will be the fate now of the elections if, let's say, for example, right now we have an activist who has moved in court to implicate Chebukati on based on the Supreme Court ruling of 2017 Bangold election. What happens now if Chebukati is not at the helm of the commission? Are we not going to have a lacuna in that particular scenario? Maybe Sharon, you could come in that.
Yes, definitely. I'm saying, when they say when you plan to fail, when you fail to plan, you actually plan to fail, and that is exactly what has been demonstrated by Chebukati. And I am hoping that this case actually gets to fruition, because it is very clear that he has committed what we call a contempt, regardless, and the fact that he was actually ordered by the Supreme Court to open up the servers, and he has not been able to open up the servers, and he's actually not been able to account or even come out to explain the reason as to why clearly he was not able to do that. Then I believe he's one of the people that has been really breached the law. And before he even calls out politicians to actually go about fundraising and calling them against early campaigns. And then another thing about this issue about calling them about early campaigns, I've not seen him actually taking up any stern action. If anything, yesterday I overheard him say that apparently it's the role of the DPP to prosecute the people. And it's all begs down the question of, are they reading in the same script? Are they even the UDA's mouthpiece? Because they have been whatever that they've been speaking up and trying to call out is what is in line with what these other UDA cronies have also been trying to speak out. So I believe, and it is my hope that this is actually going to come to fruition, because he's actually supposed to be, if anything, he's supposed to be serving a 6-month a term for having committed a contempt which was against the Supreme Court. And I hope this is actually going to we hope this is actually going to take us. And if it doesn't, I hope Kenyans are trying to read in between the lines to understand that we cannot have this man again, someone who has bungled elections and even by elections. See what happened in Kiagu Ward, and up to date, the people are still waiting for for a rerun of the same. So I hope Kenyans are going to read in between the lines, and we can have more petitions to have him not sit at the helm of the same of the leadership of IEBC come 2022. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Sharon Gitonga. And of course, we shall move to the other newspaper, that is the Standard and Nation, of course, and also the People Daily seem to have a similar headline for today's dailies. So I'll just pick up whatever the Daily Nation is.
Before you move to the next paper, Sharon, before you move to the next paper, I want you to take the points that Sharon has made, very crucial points. The IEBC chairperson was ordered to open servers. He told people in 2017 that these servers, people in France were still sleeping. I would like to know from the panel whether France is still sleeping up to today. Point number 2, this is the man that you are giving your elections again. How sure is it that the winner will lose technically on the same mistakes. Where do you put? There was only one question, and the Kenyans should not beat about the bush. The biggest problem that you Kenyans have is you don't tell the truth. You tell one lie here and then you hide the truth in the middle. You know, you please people, you please Ruto, then you please Raila, then you hide the truth. Me, I don't hide the truth. Because at my age, I've reached a point, if I don't tell the truth, even the angels will ask me, why didn't you help the world? Chebukati is saying he's doing preparations for elections. Has he ever gone to correct the mistake that led to nullification of the 2017 election? If he has done it, let someone send me how he has done it. We are again going into the same election. We have done spoiled ballots. Where were they kept? If you ask all these by-elections that Chebukati has done since 2017, you will not find a heap of spoiled papers kept in any box. I wish that is the truth. They are not there. We don't know whether the spoiled papers are added or they are distributed. So the Kenyan parliament should go back and draw guidelines. You see, another point that Sharon talked about, that Chebukati is telling people that it is not his role to prosecute. But how will he, that's why the court came in, that's why the police came in, to know what are the things that are prosecutable. That's why the Chief Justice wanted to sit on the committee. He's not seeking to say, don't vote for Ruto or Raila, or don't vote for so and so. He's simply sitting on the committee to know what type of offenses, if brought before the courts, can they be managed? Why can't we teach people about these offenses? We are now gearing for elections, but we are not seeing what will plunge this country to chaos. I therefore submit, if I were a Kenyan, I would not allow Chebukati to touch my vote. I'm sorry.
Yes, thank you so much. And of course, Dr. Masanga, they are reinforcing whichever points Sharon Gitonga brought on board. And of course, in stark disagreement with the opinion that Chebukati should oversee the next election. Samuel Tarwish, what do you make of that particular maybe stand? Should Chebukati continue to organize and plan for the next year as a general election, as a country we need to reevaluate that position that he holds?
Thank you so much, Sean Wesonga, of course, Sharon Gitonga, and Dr. David Masanga from the Political Command Center. My great pleasure really to join you on this program this morning. And my brother, if I may just remind you, I've always been of the opinion that Wafula Chebukati is not the man really to oversee the coming general election in 2022, or whichever time we'll be having that particular election, for the simple reasons that you've heard from my sister, Sharon Gitonga, and of course, Dr. David Masanga himself being an authority in these matters to do with elections. And when we are getting into an election that is of high octane of such nature, an election which is going to be a transition in a way, because the president will not be defending his seat, the incumbent, that is, will not be defending his seat. This is an election that you wouldn't want it to go the wrong way. And all indications are we may not have a very smooth elections. For one, Wafula Chebukati is an indicted fellow. He's a man you understand, and all of us and Kenyans appreciate the fact that he oversaw an election which was bungled in 2017, one which was overturned by the Supreme Court. It became the first actually in the African continent, and I believe the third in the world, if I'm not very wrong, of a court overturning an election election of a re-election of an incumbent president. So in itself, generally, I think Chebukati is a man who has lost confidence and faith in Kenyans. Kenyans cannot quite trust IEBC as it is, because there's no way you're going to delink the chairperson of the IEBC from the commission itself. When you talk about IEBC as a commission, Chebukati is the face of IEBC because by and large is the chairperson of this very critical institution. And if Kenyans do not have confidence, trust and faith in Chebukati to be able to oversee a very free, fair and credible election, that which is going to reflect the will of the people. So how can we sit pretty and comfortably as Chebukati at the helm of this commission? Remember, even the Kriegler report had recommended that for us to have an election which has less contestation, we must have IEBC fully constituted at least 2 years prior to the election. We've just put the commissioners, the other commissioners, about 4 or so of them into IEBC commission. I'm very sure they are actually even trying to appraise themselves with the workings and the goings on at the IEBC. We've just been trying to patch up when other commissioners resign at the IEBC. The likes of Rosalina Kombe and other commissioners who actually exited IEBC, instead of this country sitting down and doing a complete overhaul of IEBC, we've just come out and decided to do a patch up. And if it would have even sounded maybe better if this patch up had no issue in terms of the current commission and the commissioners that we initially had at the IEBC. If Chebukati had if people of Kenya had no problem with Chebukati or other commissioners at the IEBC, then maybe they will give them a benefit of doubt. But a person who bungled the previous general election, an election that almost tore this country apart, an election that saw an opponent really going to swear himself in, purportedly or claiming that he had won election and he was rigged out, I do not think that Chebukati is the right person really to oversee this election. That is why we are of the opinion that perhaps Kenyans should have a candid conversation, even if it's about postponing this coming election, so that we have a fully constituted IEBC, one which all Kenyans can have trust in, so that when people contest, those who win and lose can shake hands and say it was a fair play, and nobody will actually resort into other ugly, of course, actions like we have witnessed in the past. We must be able to avoid this, and the only way for us to do this is we must begin by making sure that we have a credible institution in the name of IEBC, which is going to referee this election. But as it is now, personally, I do not have faith, I do not have confidence and trust in IEBC led by Wafula Chebukati. I submit, my brother.
Yeah, thank you, Samuel Tarwisha. And there you have it, our viewer. And of course, it is a very, very unanimous opinion that Chebukati is unfit to hold that particular position and actually to oversee the next coming general election. So unless something is done to the IEBC, then the next elections, according to our panelists and Dr. Matsanga David, is that we are more likely to have an election which might not meet the threshold of being free, fair, and credible. So I'll just move on to
No, wait. His Excellency President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta is just arrived in Dar es Salaam. He's in Dar es Salaam this morning to celebrate 60 years of independence of Tanzania. Remember, Kenya today is also celebrated this week. We'll celebrate 60 years of independence. Tanzania, because they made changes in their constitution from 1963 to today, Tanzania changed the constitution to match the standards of the people of Tanzania. President arrived there to witness such a change today. In Tanzania, the chairman of the Electoral Commission works together with stakeholders. In Kenya, the chairman of the Electoral Commission chases away other stakeholders and wants to do it as if he's the only one who studied law at Nairobi University. Surely, you are the only strange people in East Africa, indeed. In Uganda, however bad the elections are where they allowed stakeholders to take part, to sit and watch and give their views. Then the Electoral Commission went to do their own things. But you cannot be asking 60 million, 40 billion, 80 billion, 12 billion when you are pumping it in the hands of Ruto's friends. The man, I've told you, the man who brought the Greek man who is printing, I don't know whether MPs here listen. And the MPs are going to pass that supplementary budget, you know. Jawish.
Yes, maybe I wish we could look at also another headline on the Star newspaper. And of course, it says William Ruto rushes to beat the Harambee deadline. And this is a man who has been dishing out money throughout since 2017 presidential election. Don't you think that IEBC perhaps might have failed in its role to regulate these dishing of monies before the campaign?
Yes, absolutely, my brother. You know, IEBC has been lackluster. Has been a lackluster institution, one which is not resolute on its mandate and responsibility. And that's why you see they come out and cry as people who are hopeless, people who do not have, for example, powers even to take action against election malpractices. In fact, if you are to ask yourself, look, for example, the kind of, premature campaigns that have been taking place in this country for the last almost 4 years, I would say, because again, ever since we finished the 2017 general election, people have been moving around, particularly Deputy President William Ruto doing campaigns. And in the name of course, trying to see how the Jubilee projects have been undertaken on the ground, when he even claims that it's not part of the Jubilee administration from 2017 up to now. So I wouldn't quite expect so much from IEBC, because again, they have proved to be, a toothless dog, one which cannot quite bite. They only bite selectively, when they feel like maybe it is not about their bidder. And that's why you see when people have been asking, how come that for the last about 4 years, Deputy President William Ruto has been campaigning, but IEBC seems like they have been deaf and blind to these campaigns that the DP has been carrying around in the country. So when you talk about, for example, the issue of dishing out money, this is outright bribery, Wesonga, if you are to put it that way, because there's no other way you can actually put it. Giving out money to people without necessarily a very tangible of course, approach on how these monies are going to be used, or even the sources of this money itself, because even people and Kenyans have been asking, where is the source of this money that Deputy President William Ruto continues to dish out to the youth, the mama mbogas, the boda bodas, in Harambees, in churches every other day, to a tune of billions of Kenya shillings? Because if you are to do a rough estimate from 2017 up to now, the kind of millions, hundreds of millions of Kenya shillings that have been dished out to people, you cannot understand where the source of this money is coming from. But regardless of that, really, we should have been in a position to regulate this kind of course, doings by the politicians, so that we have a fair playing ground by all politicians. So assuming that money was going, or is going to be a determining factor in who becomes your leader tomorrow, then we are likely going to see Deputy President William Ruto actually bribe his way to office, because it's given so much money to the youth, it's given so much money to the mama mbogas, or the women in this country, and to the churches, to a point even the churches themselves are completely now corrupt. They have completely been compromised. They cannot even speak independently. When you listen to them, you get confused, and you ask yourself, are these really religious leaders who are supposed to provide guidance and moral authority in this country? So we are actually completely in the wrong trajectory in as far as that is concerned. It is a bit late even for IEBC to come out and say they can do anything serious in as far as regulating, of course, campaign financing and bribery of voters. We want to see, given that is it actually today that is the final day that they are supposed to, anyone who has been doing around this, really to stop doing it forthwith. Deputy President William Ruto has been, I suppose, kind of apprehensive, because he knows this is the only bait that he has to give to people of Kenya for him to be elected, or for him to get any mileage. Short of it, he does not have anything tangible. He does not have any anything like a very serious policy that Kenyans will resonate with. So the only thing he has to do is continually give out money, bribe people, and hoodwink them into believing that he's a savior, is a person who is going to provide a solution to their problems, without knowing that this has all been but a deceptive persuasion and attractiveness to the electorates, when indeed he's the one who has condemned Kenyans to the suffering and the suffering that they are going through currently. It's a bit.
Yes, quite candidly put there by Tarwish Ole Sasina, who is coming to us from Nairobi, Kenya. And of course, yesterday we saw Mount Kenya Foundation endorsing Raila Odinga after conducting a series of interviews, we could call them so, when they talked to the One Kenya Alliance and to Raila Odinga and later on One Kenya Alliance. And they came out yesterday with a unanimous decision to endorse Raila Odinga. Of course, we're going to be looking at that in the news headlines for the three remaining newspapers. But Sharon, yesterday we saw a debate and swing, and actually I've seen a very interesting social media post which says at both Raila Odinga and William Ruto are both supported by billionaires. But when you look at these billionaires vis-a-vis each other, you realize that those supporting Raila Odinga are people like Titus Ibui, the likes of Munga, and these are people who have made money through industry, people who have companies, people who have developed their wealth from the scratch through hard work and meritocracy. But also you have billionaires who support William Ruto, the likes of Rigathi Gachagua, people who have made billions through corruption. Today we have KRA pursuing One Wambui, who was purportedly hiding at Weston Hotel. What do you make of such a conversation? Does it now put maybe a stark difference between William Ruto and Raila Odinga?
Thank you very much, Daniel, for that question. And probably if I could backtrace on the sentiments that were given by Tarwish earlier on, by how IEBC has been, tending to have double standards and, being duplicit. And it's quite late for them to actually start issuing such, such kind of ultimatums right now. It's quite too late, because I remember when they actually called, when the deputy president was called out for Adi campaign, he actually had, the guts to say that he's, introspecting the projects that they have, they did and promised people, during the Jubilee, during the Jubilee government. And my biggest question is, if he really is true to his words, why then does it appear that in all his campaigns there has to be, heckles and, pre-election violence because of the politics, because of the issue of handouts? And that is probably the biggest question that people should be asking themselves. Why do we really need to entrust, our leaders who can, stand up on, a national TV and, lie, where we, in black and white? Do we really, are these the kind of leaders that we need to even entrust the leadership of this country? Now to, ask, to respond to your question about, yesterday's endorsement, by the Mount Kenya, Foundation. And definitely, I agree with you when you talk about different sources, that they all have billionaires, but the difference between, the two is that the source of the money is that, one comes from, trusted and, trusted sources, and the other one comes from, questionable and default sources. You've also talked about the issue of, the issue of the lady that was caught up, today in the morning and actually evaded, because of actually having evaded, 2.2 billion tax. And when you look at, these other endorsements that came as per yesterday, it's from trusted sources, and these are people and leaders who have been there over and over. I remember even during, Kibaki's era, and also even during Kenyatta, Uhuru Kenyatta's era. So I think the biggest difference between, because I've also seen, this kind of endorsement has caused so much, jitters and mixed reactions even online. So people really need to understand the difference between the two endorsements. But then when you look at the UDA side, you also see another, double standards and people with people wear different shirts. Why would he be endorsed by billionaires yet he's trying to fit in the, in the middle class or, with the hustlers? I mean, does it really sell the same narrative of what he's actually preaching out? And if I could quote what, Munya said yesterday, is that we are only safe, in the hands of individuals with a history, we are not safe in the hands of people with a history of looting public coffers and land grabbing, and people that have perpetuated displacement of their children. So I think people need to read in between the lines right now, even with the endorsement. And I'm sure most people would say that this will not even influence any a much when it comes to the kind of endorsements. But you see, you can also see that even the former Prime Minister has been transversing the entire country. He's been to Eldoret. He's been to, all the counties. So he's not a man that has been sitting down or even, and sitting down and waiting for endorsement. He's also been out there trying to gather votes and trying to sell his political, economic and social blueprint that, from where I sit, I find it, adaptable and viable, and of course a workable blueprint. So I think this is a step into the right direction, and now it's about time we say it's now, systems go, even as we wait for tomorrow's, because I understand he said that he's not going to respond to all those demands yet until he officially announces his candidature come tomorrow. So it's a wait and see, but they say if it looks like a duck, quacks like a duck and swims like a duck, then it is a duck. So, but let us wait and see how tomorrow pans out, during the delegates convention tomorrow at Kasarani. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sharon Gitonga. Of course, you say it is all systems go for Raila Odinga. And of course, that is what is the headline for the three leading newspaper. That is the Nation newspaper, The Standard, and also the People Daily. And because of the similarity in the headlines, I'll just choose the Daily Nation to go with. And it says, Uhuru Brigade endorses Raila Odinga. And in that, they say Agriculture CS Peter Munya, accompanied by three cabinet colleagues, reads resolutions of Mount Kenya Foundation supporting ODM leaders' candidacy. Mr. Odinga will announce his decision to seek the top seat tomorrow. Dr. Masanga David, do you think this is the smoking gun that Raila Odinga has been waiting for before now he can be able to propel and announce his presidential bid tomorrow? And what implication does it come in the midst of Mount Kenya Foundation endorsement?
First of all, thank you. I want to assure you, tomorrow is going to be blue. And I've prepared my blue shirt. Wesonga, let me tell you, the side that I always support doesn't lose. Show me which one has lost. Which one? I can count for you my political career. Show me. I took part in the negotiations for peace, the Uganda peace process. Isn't it holding? Without me, there would have not been any peace in northern Uganda today. This is the man talking to you. I'm here. I told you nobody will overthrow Mugabe by violent regime change. I won. Am I not here? I can be proud of what I've achieved internationally. I'm told there is an organization that is giving me an award. You have seen it somewhere in the press. I haven't. I'm waiting for their letter on the question of struggling for the people of Zimbabwe. Zimbabweans themselves have sat down to say they will give me an award. I will wait. Because I don't touch stupidity. When I tell you that I will defeat Ocampo, didn't you see? Wesonga, And Mr. Tawish, I was telling Tawish that don't play with me on his show, that you are playing with high voltage, man. I'll defeat Ocampo. I did. I'm proud. I can show you the achievements. And you cannot, and let me tell you, you cannot defeat me on anything in ICC. If you don't listen to my advice on anything in ICC, your lips will be dry. Have you seen how a human being lacks even water to make the lips? These lips are supposed to be wet. Do you know why women put on lipstick? Sharon can, if you ask Sharon, why does she put on lipstick on the lips? Why? Why? Sharon, this is a community TV. At times people want to learn from you, madam. What is the use of lipstick on the lips? And why is it that men don't put lipstick on the lips? Did you know why?
It's just to enhance the beauty. Yeah.
To enhance the what?
It enhances the beauty and also gives you a sense of another sense. I mean, it's generally like what you were talking about, makeup, and I don't want to really go so deep about that, but in general, I would say it just enhances the beauty and it gives some confidence to women generally. Yeah.
Songa. And not Sharon, don't go. Wait. Songa, open up.
Yes, I think it's all about enhancing beauty and maybe.
All of you, okay, let me wait. All of you are talking the same thing, enhancing beauty, yes? Songa.
Yes, I think lipstick is something which is Western, and of course, in the quest of our women trying to look as the whites do it, they put it on, and the main goal.
Oh, no. Well, that's the point made, Jawish. This is an interactive program. We are teaching people in the community.
Well,
why do women put on lipstick?
Well, Dr. I haven't quite gotten to understand it, but I will go with the of course, the script by Sharon, that probably it's more of enhancing beauty and also enhancing that.
Okay, you have also got it wrong. Now listen from the well of wisdom. Tawish, do you put on lipstick? Daniel, do you put on lipstick? Daniel?
Doc, I think when you ask men,
wait, I'm coming back.
No, I think
Daniel, do you put on lipstick?
Absolutely no, Dr. Masanga, never.
Does Masanga put on lipstick? No. So I said this because have you seen women when they are charged of crime, their lips become dry? But men, when they are charged in the dock, their lips run dry. Why? It's because men have more diminishing return syndrome. You are seeing everything is going. All of you are talking of enhancing. But when a man is in the dock, his lips become dry. When you are caught, you look at the argument. When you are having an argument with your wife, you are a man, the lips are the ones that run very dry quickly. But the wife will not have a dry lips, even in the morning. Because they are not, she's not better. She knows she's trying. You are supposed to protect her. And you have come on her. You have beaten her the whole night. Now you are beating her. It is you who is in the wrong. That's how Ruto looked like in the dock. With white lips. And didn't know what to do. So when you are telling people the truth, they don't want to listen. Some people in this country think that they know more about ICC than others. So you leave them to do what they want to do. Until they reach there, this international agency it can pain you. You might think you know you have fixed one angle when you have not fixed. Part of what has killed Kenya in international arena is that Kenya does not have lobby groups. It is only the first time that Tobacco, through the advice of friends like us, took the biggest delegation, lobby delegation, to COP26 in Edinburgh. 342 people. They took over the entire climate change summit in Edinburgh. Kenya had the highest delegation. You look at the results that came out of there. How even Kenya has been put on the map. Am I wrong, Sharon? Because of how Kenya has treated the climate change, how it is teaching, you know, the theme was taken by the governors. The theme is here. People are beginning to see that the trees that we destroy in Mao Forest and other places could affect us in the future. Because Kenya had a lobby group. One of the biggest mistakes that Kenya makes, which was in Zimbabwe, when I entered there on Mugabe, Zimbabwe did not have lobby group. But the government officials used to take huge amounts of money to give to people, white people, to lobby for them. Mugabe reversed that. And Mugabe told them, I want that money. My Pan-African friend from Uganda. Everything small Mugabe used to ask me. Before he could even pay money. When he wanted the sanctions against his country, people went there to tell him, we want $2.5 million to fight a case in Brussels. I went to Zimbabwe, to Brussels on bed and breakfast. Bed and breakfast and a prisoner. Because at that time I used to drink. I no longer drink alcohol and the brandy. I sat in my hotel. The following morning, I went with my documents. I'm telling you practically what I've done for Africa. I walked into Luxembourg. I got a taxi from my hotel, went to the registry of the European Court of Justice. I filed on bed and breakfast. Hallelujah. I filed an application. Go and cross-check. It is there. Mathanga files an application in the European Court of Justice for sanctions against Zimbabwe. It is this man here. And how many lawyers does Zimbabwe have who claim to have studied even law in Harvard? I never studied law in Nairobi University. So this thing of undermining people who know what they are is growing and growing. We are not listening. That's why I'm bringing it that at least Raila Odinga knows that international lobby and the groups of that lobby, a group like Mount Kenya Forum, The leaders are a lobby group. And Raila is using a tactic, which now Ruto has noticed that it is working very effectively. How many people does Equity Bank employ? No, let's talk the truth. Tuambiane. Equity Bank is everywhere, even in Uganda, even in DRC Congo, in Sudan. How many employees of Equity Bank that does Munga, the owner of Equity Bank, employ in Kenya? And then you call him stupid. You call him names. He can win an election, and Ruto, you will have dry lips. Am I bringing my point home? You see where the question of dry lips and the lipstick is? Ruto on 9th of August will need, or 10th of August will need lipstick to dry his lips, because he will look at it back and see the money he lost. In fact, at that time, we should disarm him, because he could be a dangerous loose cannon. Eh? People like SK Macharia, how many people does he employ? How many people listen to Citizen in Kenya in a day? You think he can't influence an election? And so many others who have teamed up, whom you have now categorized in newspaper headlines, say tycoons. They are trying to create a class struggle. But it is not, Ruto is not Jesus, that he came here to heal class struggle. The class struggle has been there. Hallelujah. When Jesus fed 5,000 people at the port of Capernaum, there were people coming from the Sea of Galilee. The Sea of Galilee on canoes. They didn't find Jesus. They did not eat the original bread. Is it true or not true? Tawish. And there was Song and Sharon. Muniambie. Are you the one who created class struggle? It's God. Why is it that God created us black and created others white? I'm a scholar here. That's why I studied the Plato Republic, the Prince, Adam Smith, yes, Montego, Karl Marx. It's in my head. I cannot become a yo-yo on a TV, not a yo-yo. I have the books here. That's what God told me to say. Class struggle was not created by us. And you cannot condemn people because they are tycoons. That is very bad politics, called politics of compensation. Compensational politics is dangerous because your father did not buy you shoes, butter shoes, in a shop of Onyango, in Eldoret. You want to kill Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, whose father bought him shoes. Kenya hii mnaenda wapi nyinyi? Wesonga niambie, mnaenda wapi wewe Sharon? This is not a look, David Ndii has run away from, distance himself from a wrong policy he brought. You people are not talking about it. He has distanced himself because he has found out. I bet if you have gone to school in Oxford, I went to Canterbury, which is equivalent to Oxford, very good for my last degree. You can't challenge us. We always challenge Oxford. If you have gone to Oxford and you have gone the tactics, the tools of analysis, you got the tools of analysis in your head, can you bring a bottom-up, bottom what? When you don't have even a way to fight corruption. You have not told people how you return the money you have stolen yourself as the leader of UDA. How are you going to bring a bottom-up? Mfungue, just open this. Do you know what? Tawish, you Kenyans, open the interview. In fact, we are preparing our television stations to hammer Ruto. Atapata wapi, atakimbilia wapi. Tutampiga paka the lips become white. Kupiga politically and intellectually. In fact, the biggest problem that we have here is that you don't bring intelligent people on the television to discuss with men like me. Every television station in Kenya fears me. Hallelujah. When I was working in Sky News, Koinange was just a pauper. Yes, people have forgotten where I came from. I was a senior Sky News Africa consultant. Tawish, I beat 10,000 applications. In Britain, there is nowhere you can cheat a certificate. Wapi? Wapi? Ulisikia wapi? Mcheze huko. Kati Ruto, bottom up, bottom what? Let him just do say bottom of getting people's women. In bottom up in hotels in Nyeri. Kwenda. Unaambia watu, kwenda. Don't tell me that rubbish. Yo, bottom up ya kugonga wa bibi wa watu. Ye muache. How can you be bottom up when you are punishing even you ask who don't have money and you take our girlfriends? Yeah? If you take a girlfriend of a man like Wesonga, he can finish you. Eh? Don't punish Wesonga. Because he has worked, he has saved this money to make the girlfriend buy lipstick. Then wewe unakuja huko na pesa mingi na helikopta unatoa watu wetu. Sisi tunabaki bure. This guy has punished everybody. Bottom up. Bottom up, we are losing. Some of us are losing even intangibles. This television should tell the truth to Kenyans that Raila Amolo Odinga has chosen a strategy which is the best strategy. Deal with community groups, influencers. I have asked a question here which nobody can answer. I don't know. The public out there can answer for me. How many people does Equity Bank? How many branches does Equity Bank have? Can such a man call a Christmas party for all employees in Kasarani and fail to tell them, I want this man to be the president? How many of those employees go and have influenced their families? Very many. Citizen TV. How many people view Citizen TV? Macharia to stand on Citizen TV and say, for us, as businessmen in this country, we want to be in safe hands of a man who will not dismember and sell the land title of State House. Do you know that Ruto can sell the land title of State House? Be careful. Because he has tried before. The man likes land. That's why he almost finished quotation of a small piece of land. You know, one of the people who does not struggle for land is me. Because I've ever had it and it was taken away at my home. As a refugee, I fled with nothing. With one pajama, one shirt, one trouser, one pair of socks, one pair of shoes. But I don't blame people for the situation I was found myself in 1987, in 1985, 27th July, 10 o'clock in the morning. I left Uganda with one small briefcase with a few documents. With my president, we were overthrown. Am I today not a doctor? Didn't I study? How many years? 37, isn't it? But am I blaming anybody? That because my father did not give me shoes in a Eldoret or Mr. Who's shop? The statement that Ruto made in Park Hotel, in Safari Park Hotel, still rings a bell in my mind. That the man is interested in compensation of politics. The politics of compensation, that because my father was poor, I must also work. In the process, you are killing people. Hallelujah. When you start working like that, Tawish, you are killing people. You are going to kill people on the way because of power. Mwalimu Julius Nyerere, where Uhuru is sitting now, right now in the stadium in Dar es Salaam. Mwalimu Julius Nyerere alisema, kama mnaona mtu la anapewa pesa, analipa pesa, anapokea watu pesa, ananunua watu, ananunua kura kwenda Ikulu, mjue mtu huyo la mtu mbaya atawaletea shida. Wesonga, you are very good at looking for the quotes of Mwalimu Julius Nyerere. Get them and put them there one day. Bring me a paper. Mtu ambaye ananunua kura, ananunua watu, mwenye ananunua watu kuingia Ikulu, huyo atakuwa shetani kabisa. Wakenya mchunge, tutaki au taki watu wenye unanunua kura, kununua kura kutoka watu, kununua watu walipo, wapigie kura. That's why Africa has gone back. That's why you see Buhari killing people and nobody is talking. That's why you see Buhari arresting, rendating people, coming into another country, still at night, and you kidnap somebody without even the government knowing. That's why you see Paul Obiya at 42 years in power. Paul Obiya even sends the woman's hair by DHL to Washington to be washed. Hey, tuambiane ukweli. You people always keep the flag of Pan-Africanism rising. Raila Amolo Odinga in Kenya will be the most. Look at that picture there. Bring back the picture, the memories, for people to see what the Africa we have. I'm not PLO Lumumba, who is a theorist. I'm both. I'm both. If there was an African army that can be created to fight for Africa, I would join. At my age now, I would join. Look at that. That's the president of Cameroon. The wife whose hair is $1 million. And she takes that hair for service. How many children in Cameroon need food? How many? Paul Obiya is killing people in Amazonia, and you are keeping quiet watching him kill people. What type of Africa is this? Buhari is killing people in Biafra. You are watching him. We are set. Now here, you want to bring a Machiavellian man, a Fanon Fancy Fiore, a man who is not even interested in an election. Hallelujah. He's not interested in the results. Tawish, Daniel, and Sharon. Ruto is not interested. Ruto is creating a state, organizing a state towards a rebellion. Take that note in your notebooks. Two antagonists, both of them very sharp. Both of them don't agree on election results. You tell me, if you make poor election preparation, what will you have? Even if you have not done mathematics. I'm told Wesonga is the one doing a master's degree in business administration. Where Najua, Sinai 1 plus Sinai 2 plus, you know, calculate it for me. What results will you have? You mix those two substances.
Yes.
And all of them are going for an election which is now being poorly managed, poorly prepared. You see, poorly prepared. And these are some of the topics that I want you people to be discussing openly, Sharon. Don't rely on this thing of, we are not here to glorify, to read papers and we go. We should bring a topic like this and you spend 1 hour talking about it. Give your views. What do you want a better Kenya to look like? A better Kenya is a Kenya with unit of purpose. Tomorrow's rally is for Azimio wa Umoja. Azimio ya Umoja. Unity of purpose. Kenyans must heal. A redemption strategy. Raila is, Raila is saying what Matsanga intellectually said, a redemption strategy. We have not healed, and let's not hide, and some people take a credit for me, from my work. It is only me who has been talking about a redemption strategy. Show me one person. Show. Don't change it to BBI. What is BBI? It's a redemption strategy, isn't it? Sharon, isn't the BBI a redemption strategy? You just changed the name, the letters, but it is a redemption strategy. Kenya needs healing, and that healing can only come when there are 5 components, and I take them from here, from me. 1, reconciliation. 2, accountability. 3, truth telling. 4, restitution. 5, guess what? Reparation. If you don't restitute people by reparating them, and by telling the truth, and by accounting for the truth, and by reconciliation, you can't have healing. Am I clear there now?
Yes, absolutely.
All of you are going to Kasarani tomorrow. Most millions and millions will be outside. I can see screens that have been put out for other people to watch from outside. But are you healed? Are you healed? Let me remove my glasses and ask, are you healed, Tawish?
We are quite not yet there, Dr. Ari.
And Daniel, are you healed?
Not yet, Dr. Matsanga. Not yet at this moment.
Sharon Gitonga, are you healed?
Not yet. We are yet to get there. But I don't think I think we have a long way to go. From IEBC chairperson, I think we have a long way to go.
Thank you. Now let me tell you one story, quick one, and I'll leave you to discuss this the 20 minutes left. You are driving to Malava. You used to live in Bantu Forest. You used to have your cows and your house in Bantu Forest. But now you sleep in Nairobi, in a boys' quarters with your 6 children, who ask you, Dad, why are we not in our farm taking milk? But while you are driving towards Malava, you stop at Bantu Forest in the Rift Valley. And you look there, that was your house where you used to be. There is smoke coming out of your house. Tawish, Daniel, Sharon. You stop out to bite some maize or some drink around the Bantu Forest and look at your house where you used to live for 60 years. And now you're a scavenger. You're a scavenger in Nairobi. And somebody is living in your house. He's cooking. He hasn't paid you. He hasn't compensated you. Are you healed? I open the debate for you. Welcome, Your Excellency President Uhuru Kenyatta in Dar es Salaam, the fountain of Africanism, Pan-Africanism. Long live Nyerere, long live Kaunda, long live Jomo Kenyatta, long live Obote, the one who mentored me to speak this English I'm speaking today. Long live. One day when you find me down there, or I find you down there, not me, I will find you. Sir, I will not betray you. I will stick to my version of Pan-Africanism. I will always defend this continent. You defended this continent, that's why you were overthrown twice. Nyerere suffered isolation of Ujamaa villages. Jomo Kenyatta was imprisoned because he defended the continent. Kaunda was mistreated, taken down by Chiluba because he stood for Pan-Africanism. Patrice Lumumba was killed because he spoke the truth about Congo. Sekou Touré, Gabriel Nasser, Baba Tafawa Balewa was assassinated because he spoke the truth. I will continue to speak the truth. Let God hold my hand when it comes to Pan-Africanism. I submit back to Wesonga.
Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Masanga David. Of course, you've taken us through the ocean of what is happening here in Kenya in perspective, going all the way to whatever is happening also across the continent. And that is in regards to what is happening in Tanzania today, where President Uhuru Kenyatta has gone to grace the 60th anniversary of their independence. Now, I'll just go in the interest of time to Tarwisho Lesasina. What do you make of this endorsement by Mount Kenya Foundation of Raila Odinga yesterday, and what are your expectations for the big day that is to be tomorrow?
Thank you so much. One, it's a great milestone, not necessarily for Raila Amolo Odinga and his prospective candidature for presidency come 2022, but by and large, I think in as far as the direction that this country should really take, because you and I, and of course the rest of the panelists will acknowledge the fact that Mount Kenya Forum, I mean a caucus that draws elite business people or moguls, if you like, and not just any ordinary business people or people you can just wish away, just like Dr. Masanga has alluded to. These are people who have, I mean, mega, of course, they are mega shareholders when it comes to business doing, not only in Kenya, but the rest of the East African region, if not the whole African continent. In itself, for them to have settled on Raila Amolo Odinga as their preferred candidate come 2022 general election to take over from President Uhuru Kenyatta is is something you can't quite take lightly. For the simple reason is that these are people who have, in one way or another, helped Mwai Kibaki, the former president, of course, to be in power, or actually financed his campaigns. They have done the same to President Uhuru Kenyatta twice, actually thrice, that is in 2013 and twice in 2017. And so these are people who are not just doing this for the sake of it. One, they are people who know what it means for a conducive environment for anyone to be able to do business, because they are in the business, they're actually people who are doing businesses. And so they understand when you have peace, when you have tranquility, when people are living together in harmony and cohesion, you are able to do business anywhere in any part of this country without any disturbances or without any kind of hurdles. And that is why they feel like this is the right person really to take over from President Uhuru Kenyatta. Remember, they did not just arrive to this name or to this individual they did just wake up from slumber. It is something that has been quite rigorous. They have conducted actually even interviews. Remember having the One Kenya Alliance leaders. Last time I saw them even having people from the northeastern region, and I suppose also from the coastal region. And they have had several interviews with different, of course, individuals and political entities in this country. And finally, out of these interviews, they have resolved that they're going to put more commitment and even resources directed at Raila Odinga. One is because Raila Odinga has worked very nicely with President Uhuru Kenyatta during his second term in office, of course, through that handshake, which has brought about some semblance of peace and tranquility in the country. And also his commitment really to see into it how we can unite this country is also vowed through the Azimio la Umoja forums that he has had in most parts of the countries, really that he wants to solidify the unity of purpose amongst all Kenyans. He wants a conducive environment where each and everybody is really able to do business without so much hurdles and impediments like we have witnessed in the past. And so the business elites in this country will find this as an ideal candidate really to be able to take this country to the next level. We do not want a person who just wants to get to office for the sake of it, a person who is just hungry for power, a person who is just keen on getting in there and amassing wealth, not for the purpose of this country, but for himself and the people around him. And when you look into the Mount Kenya business moguls, there's something that comes out of these individuals. These are people who quite made it already in life. In fact, they're the people who have provided the platforms and the job opportunities to hundreds of thousands, if not millions of Kenyan people, and also the youth who want to fund in front of doing business and opening up more companies in the country and in the region. So that even this question of employment, really, we can be able to answer it through the opening up of more companies and businesses being put up, investments being done. And this can only be achieved when you have peace. Without it, it does not matter which kind of model you have it, be it an bottom up or down, whichever kind of way you want to put it, you only but will need peace as the first ingredient for you to be able to realize all this bigger vision that is this country. So for the prosperity of this nation, I share in the decision and vision of the Mount Kenya Foundation that Raila Amolo Odinga is really the right person to take over from President Uhuru Kenyatta. He's demonstrated that humility, he's demonstrated that commitment, he's demonstrated some level of soberness, ingredients that are really necessary for a person who occupies that high office in this country. We don't want people who are after vendetta, people who are angry, people who are after to settle scores, people who are corrupt, really, because that is one thing that this country has been bleeding from. I mean, the question of corruption. So when you have a person who is coming out with a very serious commitment and a policy that is going to ensure we're going to seal all the loopholes of corruption in our country, then businesses will thrive. Our young people will be able to do businesses, and even job opportunities will be created. More potential investors will even be able to come to the country and do businesses. In the past, you understand, of course, and my colleague panelists will appreciate, it has been very difficult, and Kenya has people have shied away from doing business in Kenya mostly, not because of any other thing, but because the cost of doing business in Kenya has more often become so difficult and expensive, and people will choose other destinations other than Kenya. So I think with the coming in of Raila Odinga and his vision that he has for this country, sealing those loopholes of corruption and dealing with impunity, making sure that we unite all the people of Kenya, regardless of their religion, regardless of the places they come from, regardless of their political persuasion, I think that is an ideal candidate for this country and a person who will be able really to oversee the legacy of President Uhuru Kenyatta moving forward. We do not want saboteurs. We do not people who are going to scuttle what has already been put in place. We want a person who is going to continue with the foundation that the president has already laid.
Yes, thank you so much, sir.
Before you go ahead, Stephen, bring the pictures live from the court, from anti-corruption court, the business lady who sneaked in from Uganda, from Wilson Airport, and went straight to Weston Hotel. Wambui has been arrested and she is in court right now. Pictures coming live from the anti-corruption court. She's now being charged before the anti-corruption court for embezzlement, for tax evasion of 2.12 billion Kenya shillings. She came back by private jet from Wilson into Weston Hotel, where police and others were waiting for her. We wish her good justice, and as justice is the shield and defender, let it work and we find out the truth. So all along, I think, I don't know, Tawish called me voltage. And my friend...
Not just voltage, high voltage.
High voltage. Was I right that this lady was somewhere?
Absolutely, Dr. And you've never been wrong in this.
I saw the people. Because she was seen in company of some people in another country. Then all of a sudden she was advised, come and we shall take you out of the airport and you come to the hotel. That's it. That's when they were trapped and got by KRA. She has presented herself. She was on a trip abroad. Then why should a warrant of arrest be issued if she was in the country? Anybody opposing my theory? It's high. What do you call it? A well of wisdom.
Yes.
There you are. Colombo. And piece up the pieces. Sharon, beautiful. Pick up the pieces. And you see, we got her.
I think, Dr. Masana, those in the intelligence agencies should actually be looking out for you, because I remember you insinuating what perhaps has happened. And it so happened when it's being reported by one of the media houses that the deputy president himself actually, at the time of doing the raid there, he was present in that particular facility.
Didn't I tell you? He protected the lady. He said, come on the plane. He sent his security to pick her from the plane in Wilson and took her to her house. This is a man who abets crime. To her hotel. After they have even taken all the money away. Another news coming in is Burkina Faso government has been am I a bringer of bad news only? The government of Burkina Faso has been sacked. The president has dissolved the cabinet, the government. That's the breaking news right now. We are back. We are back in catch 22. But the only breaking news that is coming is President Roch Marc Christian Kabore of Burkina Faso has dissolved the government. Christopher Dabire is no longer the prime minister. He was dismissed with disgrace. So trouble brewing up there. Sankara's spirit still haunts. I can't read the letter in French, but my news agency has just dropped it in here. Remember, I'm a member of International Journalists Association on Wire, having been a member of the Sky News team. Some people ask how I pick up these things, and they think I'm a liar. Investigative journalism in the UK is like an intelligence system, Sharon. And that is the way things are. We want to end it there. Sharon, you have some word to say. Say it. And I admire the African hair, not Mrs. What is that woman called? Mrs. Paul Biya. You saw her hair. So how do you stay with such a woman in the same room with such hair? It's scary. But it is $1 million. And some Africans are dying of hunger, simple anger. Simple anger. Tawish. Nyinyi jameni. Wa Afrika mnakuwa namna gani nyinyi? Simple hunger is killing African. And the woman is wearing a wig of $1 million. Look at our Sharon. She looks even more attractive than putting on those things. When you go, look, Tawish, don't be tempted to buy those things in your house. If she doesn't like you, let her know. Yes, and the wewe nani, usinunue. Daniel, usinunue.
Hata haiwezi patikana kwa nyumba yangu, wacha kununua. Haiwezi patikana.
Me, I like my wife to go and make African hair. I am happy. Lakini unasema ni kununue. There are some people telling you, some of these girls in your media here, I don't want to mention one name. One of them is a friend of mine. Hold his hair, you know. No, be African, jameni. Kuja kwa TV, uko na beauty. Gonga TV, cut the hair to the size, and be on that TV. You like, you know, one of the things I like there's a lady in KTN called Tinina. Tinina? She's a Maasai.
Rita Tinina.
Hey, that is the type of people. Look at that beauty. She's always, her hair is kept short, Maasai style. That's it. That's the type. You know, for me, there are certain things I pick from Museveni, a bit of them, which I agree with him. You are going to be Uganda's representative for Miss Tourism. Munaenda na hair ile mrefu ya wazungu. So what, when this girl came to present the trophy to Museveni, Museveni said, this is very good, but the hair. You are going to tell the president that, Mr. President, I won a cup, but he tells you that you have won, I'm happy about the cup. But I'm not happy about you. Your hair should have been, you know, why did you put on this wig? Museveni embarrassed that small girl. The girl almost fell down, you know. Look at the winner, the Ugandan woman who won. If the hair was small, she would have even won. You saw the marathon that Wesonga, what was that, the kilometers, how many in the Olympics in Tokyo? There was a Ugandan lady who did very well. She got a gold medal or something. Then the president told her that you should have had short hair, because the long hair took the wind out of to pull you back, you know. So thank you very much, Sharon. Make your parting short.
Thank you very much, Dr. Matsanga. And probably if I could backtrace to the sentiments of Tawish when you were actually talking about, the endorsement by the Mount Kenya region. And one thing that came out clearly from the Mount region, or, Mount Kenya region caucus, is that they said, the former prime minister had actually demonstrated the willingness to address the community's interest, and as well as, secure Kenya's peace and economy. At the same time, also, safeguard the public resources from the wanton plunder. And you realize that they said a while back that they are not comfortable to be termed as hustlers because the Mount Kenya is said to run at an economy of 27 billion, roughly. So can you imagine that kind of money actually being pushed by wheelbarrows? I mean, it is like, it's close to impossible. And I am also, looking at, the former prime minister having had to, transverse this entire country in different counties with a very transformative, political, economical and social blueprint that we'll all agree here that it is, very practical, viable and adaptable. So I think tomorrow is actually going to be a turning point of this country, and probably it's going to be a chance for, the former prime minister to give the vision that he's always had for this country. And it is with no doubt that, he's the one to, enhance, strengthen and continue the legacy of the president, Uhuru. Then as I finalize, Dr. Matsanga, as you were talking about, the whole fable about lipstick, I was trying to look at, the deputy president currently, and I was actually thinking probably if, he decided to wait and continue serving until he finished, finished strong, probably, the mantle would have been passed to him. And I was trying to, draw some context, especially on the marriage context, whereby they say, patience is a virtue, and why the importance of submission. And, when they talk about marriage, being, it's not about competition, but about, two people, complementing and completing each other. So I think those are, for me, the biggest lessons that I've learned, ahead of, the endorsement tomorrow, even for, the president and Mount Kenya region. So I think just like you said, these are actually going to influence, in a large way, because these are people who are, they are called, the shakers of this nation. So in their own capacities, they are going to influence in a big way, even when, come 2022. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I want to thank all of you, but I want to read one thing before you go. A small quote that will guide us today, by a gentleman called Confucius. Confucius, C-O-N-F-U-C-I-U-S, Confucius. He said, a seed grows with no sound, but a tree falls with a huge noise. Destruction has noise, but creation is quiet. This is the power of silence. Grow silently. Thank you very much. And before you go, Tawish, I want to treat you to something very important now, which you can see me direct. Your friend David does not, I don't know, you cannot, I want you to listen to me. I don't know. I'm trying to get something which is still, which we have. Are you hearing me somehow? All of you, are you hearing me?
Yes, we can hear you speak.
But you cannot hear my music.
No, not at all. I can't hear from my end.
Stephen, you better come in here now. Are you hearing now? Are you hearing?
Yeah, we are hearing, but it's a bit low.
Zoom, direct, as you see me talking to me. You can join me and we have a dance anytime that you feel like. The wish across the world, the African world. We want to tell the story of Africa. What Africa wants, what we want as Africans. This is the voice of Africa. Thank you very much. All of you, Sharon, you see me now. And the viewers across the world, this is how we are going to be doing our shows. We shall be doing our shows all the time across the continent of Africa. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, all of you. This is the voice of Ottoman. Broadcasting all the way from Nairobi, Kenya. The Africa that we want, the Africa that we yearn for. Thank you. Always tuned to One Love Television. We shall be having interactive music. At the same time, as we finish the TV, we are back on the radio. That's it. You can join us on our Zoom. It will have any friends. The flyer coming to you anytime now. So we shall be here 24 hours. That's our new testing ground touch. I know you like broadcasts sana kwa TV. Lakini natusukumia ile muziki ambayo utapenda. And Daniel Wesonga takusukumia muziki ambayo utaipenda. What is killing Africa? How are we going to heal? What gives Africa corruption? Corruption. Asante sana. Asante. Continue listening for 1 minute. Oh, you decide what you want to do. This is Africa. This is Africa. Thank you. The people of Africa expect only good things from Africa. Africa has suffered greatly. Tawishi, can you say something now? Say something, Lord.
Yes, indeed, Daktari. The music is awesome, and I like the way it's coming out. And of course, with that interlude from your end, I mean, it's a very nice thing, really, that we must embrace going forward.
Thank you very much, Tawish. Thank you. And God bless you, all of you. Sharon, can you test the ground? I'm telling you, a very good radio presenter. And we say bye-bye. Tawish. Sharon. Okay, Daniel. We can't hear you.
Yes. We are end of
Thank you. Thank you very much, viewers. God bless you. All of you. Bye-bye. God bless you.